Yes, guys, I'm Si. Welcome to Cardiff City World. This is the Thursday night debate. We're back after a few weeks off, a few scheduling conflicts and whatnot, but we are back. And as always, I'm delighted to be joined by Pan, aka the Greek League. How are you, mate?
Yeah, good sight. Yeah, get a bit colder now, but yeah, not too bad, mate.
No, it's been a while, mate, hasn't it? It's been for one reason or another. We just haven't been able to get the live show going on a Thursday. Obviously, we had you on the phone in the other day, but
yeah,
we finally got 3 points, mate. That's the main thing.
Yes.
But what I wanted to talk to you about, first of all, obviously, I'm sure we'll get on to the managerial subject later on. But I want you to give me your opinion, scores aside and results aside. What have you seen against Hull and against Millwall different to what we were doing under Errol Bullock?
Well, I think obviously from what I saw against Hull, the intentions from the word go against Hull were, really good, positive, wasn't it? And getting that lead with Cam Robinson, obviously watching the game from afar, it looked really as if the team had come out, all guns blazing and kind of really, the Riza said about attacking and, obviously it's all about going forward, scoring goals. So from that point of view, I just thought, yeah, this is fantastic, isn't it? But then the same old things come to haunt us, defensive errors. This time really Collins, I think, wasn't it? Although he was up against, again, a very good player, that winger. I think everyone's called him Halloumi, but I think he's pronounced something else, the winger. But yeah, we sort of fell apart then. And I think, for me, I was really down after the whole game because I really just I went into last night with my lad, and I know it should be positive and try and look at positive things, but I talked to a lot of City fans, and I think everyone just felt so flat, that we couldn't see how we were going to win a game because our frailties in defence were not really scoring goals. There's a lack of confidence, lack of leaders, lack of legs, lack of pace. I mean, there's so many things we're falling down on that I think a lot of City fans last night really thought we were going to lose again, really, because obviously Millwall won their previous game 3-1, didn't they? So, and Neil Harris, to be fair, did a fairly good job at City when he was there. So, yeah, last night's side, I think, first 20 minutes, we could have been 2-0 down. A bit of nerves in the defence again, but I got to be fair, I have, and I'll be honest about it, I've always said about NG, he's had one good game in 6 before last night. And I was calling for Capaccio being there. And you've mentioned it many times, playing a back three. But again, we've had so many injuries, with Fish and Darland. In an ideal world, they're playing 3 centre backs and maybe Capaccio. But NG, that goal and his reaction was really fantastic to see, wasn't it? He really cared. Whereas I thought maybe he hadn't shown that previously, and I didn't know where his head was. But it was a fantastic finish, and I think it was one of those games. Once we scored, I don't think they really had out many chances. And I think second half with Tanner and Colwell and Robertson, the combinations of players, was really exciting to see some of the moves down that wing. I was really pleased with a lot of the things. I think, I don't want to put a dampener on it, but I don't know about you, but there were a few chances there that, we've got to be taking them. Colwell, again, in front of goal. I can't knock him because he had a really good game, great free kick. But, he's one-on-one with the keeper. Tanner was out wide, skied it. These are chances that we're creating, but we need to take them. So I'm pleased that we got the win. That was the most important. Even if we were getting bombarded with shots on our goal and we ended up nicking the 90th, I couldn't care. We had to get 3 points to build on something. So I think Riza, obviously well done to him for getting the team to get results last night. My personal view, I don't know what you think, is I can't see him getting the job. I just don't believe it'll happen myself. Riza was there with bullets, as someone come in attacking coach. We haven't really seen anything. Our goals this season are probably, like I said, in our history, isn't it? Our worst performance in our history in terms of a beginning of the season. So I don't think he's done enough to get the job. But I got to be fair. I just was so happy that we got a win.
Yeah, indeed. A few things then I'd pick up on there. Then, first of all, I think early on in the game, I agree with you. The defense was nervous, but that's understandable. I think, like, we've been so poor defensively, but also I had a discussion with someone this week at the club. Like, we've been punished for every time we make a mistake, it's resulted in a goal. And that's like the Burnley game. They barely created anything, but every time they did create something, they scored. Even a Hull on the weekend, like, I agree, we did fall apart a bit defensively. And I pulled up a few things, like the first goal, which is like a cross sort of shot thing. Like, Jamal Collins and El Ghazi are almost 3 yards away from they're giving him so much room.
Yeah.
But I thought that improved a massive amount yesterday. And ironically, you know what they say, like, about luck? When your luck's down, everything goes against you. Decisions, deflections, everything. And what was good to see is yesterday, the one time Joel Bagan switched off in the whole game was right at the end in the corner where he tried to sort of shepherd it out, gets caught, it comes across, the striker back heels it, and Alnwick saves him. And I looked at that and I thought, well, that could be just that little bit of luck, because Alnwick is point blank range. It's a very good save. But how many times did you then go through the legs, under the arm, or whatever? Yeah. So that was just a little positive, like, in terms of luck, which obviously you can't control. I thought El Ghazi was very good in the first half. I thought the second half he got a bit tired, which is understandable. Hasn't played for like 18 months other than the couple of games he's played for us. So he is going to take probably to the end of October, maybe even a bit longer, to really hit his stride. But what I thought watching him in the first half yesterday was, when he hits a full stride, he's going to be a real player for us, because he is too good for the Championship when he's at it, like, he's fully fit. I thought Alex Robertson was the best player on the pitch by quite a considerable amount of time, and then you get frustrated because you start thinking, well, why hasn't he been playing since the moment he came in? Why haven't we just built that midfield around him? But you can't control that. I thought Colwell was excellent. I agree with you. We've got to take these chances, but I think that comes with confidence as well, because there's so much pressure at the moment around chances, mistakes, passes. Like, we gave the ball away. I was looking at the stats. Joe Rawls, Alex Robertson, Ruben Colwell, El Ghazi, I think they all gave, Ollie Tanner, all gave the ball away over 14 times, which is a lot. But, look, I would expect the one player out of all of those who I would expect to have that sort of figure is Ruben Colwell, because he's going to be dribbling, he's going to be looking for that like final pass. Maybe even to a lesser extent, Alex Robertson. But, even Joe Rawls, I think, let me have a look at Joe's figures. He gave the ball away 15 times. Like, that's the one thing you don't expect from him, is that he would just keep things ticking over. But I thought actually, in fairness, Joe Rawls was way better than he was on Saturday, because I thought he was terrible on Saturday. And yesterday, I thought he was real good. Dimitri Gutas, I think, deserves a massive amount of praise, because I think rightly he's been criticised because he has been very poor. And I thought he really stood up as a leader last night, and not just sorted the defence out vocally and things like that, but on the pitch, he was the one who made those little tweaks to get him a bit more compact in the second half. And I will give Darren Pearce a lot of credit as well. He's been with the first team now for about a week, helping out. And you could see someone had got hold of them at half-time, the defenders, and told them to play closer together. So in the first half, they were quite widely spaced out, and Millwall were just finding little ways through. Second half, they were really compact, and we were very difficult to play against. And I think I would assume Darren Pearce, as one of the coaches and a centre-back, he was probably the one to say it, but whoever deserves a bit of credit for that. But most pleasing, mate, right, apart from the 3 points, is at half-time, my worry was we are just going to sit back and try and hold on to this by our fingernails. And we didn't. Second half, I thought we were the bad side. We were by far the better side. We created quite a few chances. And there wasn't one player in our side, out of the starting 11 where I'm looking at them and I'm thinking, oh, you might be lucky to keep your place on the weekend. Like if they're all fit, I'd probably go in the same 11, to be honest.
Yeah.
I know Tanner had a knock. You know, El Ghazi is obviously being managed. Robinson, I think, had a knock as well. I was surprised to see Mate come on instead of Kanga. And I was a little bit disappointed to see Rinamoto come on instead of Ashford for Tanner. But I think if you look at it, Rinamoto and Ashford, Rinamoto is going to be much more solid defensively. And I think Tanner did a good job defensively. Actually, I thought both El Ghazi and Tanner did a pretty good job of protecting the fullbacks. And like you mentioned, Perry NG looked like Perry NG for the first time this season, really, other than the second half against Swansea. So I thought there was loads and loads of positives, mate. And the final one I'll say is, when everyone is fit, you look at a spine that we can put out if we want to, of Alnwick, Fish, Darland, Robertson, Colwell, say Robinson. That's a very, very good championship spine. But aside from Robinson, they're all very young. You know, Darland, Fish, Robertson, Colwell, they're all like 22. So for the future, and this is why I think getting the right manager in now is so important. And when I say that, people think I mean they've got to get the manager who's going to be there for 3 years now. I actually think the best decision for the manager would be to get Sam Allardyce in till the summer, stabilize everything, sort some of the attitude and mentality within the squad, because I do think that's a little bit of an issue, although it was much better last night. And then in the summer, my personal, and this is only my choice, I would try and get Stephen Schumacher in with Stephen McPhail as his either assistant manager or first team coach. And then I'd try and get Brian Barry Murphy in as a technical director and actually build a structure from top to bottom on the footballing side, and let Mehmet Dalman and Kenneth Cho, let them do the business and the corporate and all the stuff that comes with football, but let football people build from bottom up so that all the teams play the same and building. But, you know, that would be far too sensible, mate.
Yeah, exactly. I was going to say, sorry as well, Si, that Riza as well, what I was, then, you know, we've all got our own opinions of the side. You know, after the Hull game, obviously a lot of City fans were really down, understandably, and couldn't see where we were going to get anything for the Millwall game. But I think he was quite brave, you know, Collins obviously didn't have a good game, but, you know, in the past, he's played pretty good as a left back. So I think it was a brave decision in a way to play Bagan, because Bagan obviously did really well. He was one of our better players last night. Okay, little mistake at the end. And obviously NG, as we've said, hasn't played well for the majority of this season so far. You could have gone in, say, played Capaccio. So, you know, at the end of the day, if you're going to put your name behind these players, they've got to perform, because, you know, as I said, and Riza was brave enough to pick them in the side, because Millwall had more possession and more shots than us. And obviously the whole season side, we've been focusing on possession. You know, we're getting more possession, but who cares if you're not getting points? I mean, historically, we've only beaten Millwall 3 times out of the last 15, so it's always a draw game normally, and it's not an easy fixture, as you know. So, you know, credit to Riza in the decisions he made with the players that he played. And one thing I would say, and I'd be interested about City fans, because I was sort of, do you remember when Tanner was through on the right and he crossed it because Miete was clear? He just come on Miete and he was clear on but from my angle, and I said I'll be interested what City fans think, because I was in the corner of the Canton. It looked to me as if the pass was it was slightly in front of Miete. But then when I looked at him, I thought he doesn't look fit, or he didn't seem to run as he should have done. So I'd be interested in what City fans think, because my instinct was Tanner had a lot of time just to make an easy pass, because there was no defenders there, you know. But again, you know, that opportunity, this is what I'm saying about us taking the chances, because 2-0 then, it would have, you know, a bit more relaxing in the side, and that was one which went amiss as well. But yeah, credit to a lot of the players last night, because it was all about character, I think.
Yeah, they dug in, mate, didn't they? And it was good to see a bit of team spirit and a bit of fight. On that Mayte one, well, I think this will tell you everything you need to know. I think if Kanga's on the pitch, he scores it. And as people who watch my stuff regularly, they know Mayte, I think, has all the makings to be a fantastic number 9, except his finishing. His finishing is diabolical. But he just looked like someone who hadn't played for a while. He got his legs a bit tangled up, and he just made a mess of it. But I didn't think it was.
But he always plays either as a 9 or on the right for us, Simon. And obviously,
he's better as a 9 than he is as a winger. He infuriates me as a winger. But
I think there was a reason. I don't know why. That was a perfect chance for Ashford to come on, because Miete played left when Ashford always naturally does go on. So again, it's that kind of moments where maybe Ashford would have had the pace. Whether he would have had the composure.
Solidness in defence, like Mayte ran around and pressed a lot of the time, and I agree. Like for me, I would have gone with Ashford through the middle, and then everyone else sort of sit in and try to hit him on the break and get it down the sides of him for Ashford to run in. But look, we got 3 points, and it kind of is what it is. Mayte for me, mate, he's a big problem because all the managers seem to want to play him, but I think he causes more problems for the team than he does solutions. I actually think as a number 9, his all-round hold-up play, obviously he's good at headers, he works hard, he presses, like he can be that guy. It's just his finishing is so poor that you're almost like, does everything else make up for it? I think it does.
Yeah.
All the players around you are scoring. So if he was bringing in Colwell to score and he was bringing in the wingers to score, but he doesn't get many goals himself, you can kind of excuse that. But he he doesn't do either. He doesn't get assists and he doesn't get goals. So I was surprised Kanga didn't come on, but maybe in fairness, Kanga's had his chances and he hasn't taken them. Like, now he's playing in a team which is getting the ball to him.
No, that's right. He's lacking in confidence as well. We don't really know how good Kanga is. I know everyone's saying that he's bang average, but obviously we haven't seen. But the one thing I was going to ask, Si, is, and you brought it up earlier, I think it's worth discussing as well, is players like Tanner and Robinson going off with a possible injury. Have we got an issue about fitness levels? Because these guys, I don't understand it. You got a young, generally fit Tanner. Robinson, I don't understand with Robinson if he's going to be like another Ramsey, whereas he plays a game, then has two games off. I mean, we just seem to not get players through games. I understand about tactical substitutes, but I would have thought Tanner and Robinson last night were playing really well before they went off, and normally you wouldn't take them off.
There's definitely a worry, I think, one with the medical department, because we've had an incredible amount of injuries over the last couple of years. But I think it's weird because last year as a team, I thought we were one of the fittest in the league. But probably Ruben Colwell struggled to make past about 70 minutes, whereas now he actually looks like he's as fit as he's ever been. But the rest of the team look way off it in terms of fitness. Not many of them look like they got 90 minutes in them. Like a lot of those players last night were blowing by the end. And it's a strange one, mate, because the way Errol Bullock wants to play football and hit on the counter-attack, you kind of need explosive fitness and you need to be fit to be able to win the ball back and then go. But we've never looked like doing that this year, in fairness. But no. I do question the preseason we've had this year. I thought we just, from what I've heard, what I've seen as well, in terms of what they were doing, in terms of like drills and preparation, the opponents we played, I think we only played one team, which I would class as better than us or like at a higher level than us. And for me, I think you're better off playing harder opposition. Chuck a couple of Welsh League clubs in there or whatever, where you can mix it up a bit. But generally speaking, I'd rather play a Premier League club abroad or, a La Liga team or whatever, because that gets you more prepared for the Championship. or try and play a Rangers or a Celtic who are more like playing against the Championship team, but a higher level, or like at least at the top end of the Championship sort of level, so that you're more prepared for the game. But we look unfit, and I think that's another reason why I believe, because Sam Allardyce has been helping Cardiff City with the hunt for a manager as an advisor. I believe the reason why he's not currently being considered is because of money, effectively. He's too expensive. But for me, from a mentality point of view, a fitness point of view, being hard to beat, but also play football, getting the fans on side, like everything he ticks a lot of boxes just till the summer. And I say, like, if money's the issue with him, offer him a big bonus if we don't get relegated, offer him a massive bonus if we get to the playoffs, and then offer him a ginormous one if we get promoted to the Premier League, and do it on an incentive basis, because we're in the 2nd of October, mate. It's not like, if we get the right manager in, whether it's a short-term option like that or a long-term option, if we get the right manager in and he can get us playing and build on what Riza's doing now, we have a squad big enough, good enough to compete. I think they'll look to try and maybe get a couple out in this January window, because if that means they bring Simic back from the Belgian team, because I don't think they wanted to loan him out, particularly because if you look at our striker options, we're thin. So I think it doesn't make a lot of sense to sign a Champions League striker and then loan him out. But we had too many players, so you'd think they'd move a couple out in January if they can, and then it's whether they sign a striker or bring him back. I don't think there's going to be a lot of money to spend. It also depends on the manager. Obviously, if, for instance, if they were to bring Sam Allardyce in, Nathan Jones in, they're going to cost money. If you bring in a Steven Schumacher or someone like this, they're obviously free agents. But most managers would want a little bit of money, unless they're told ahead of time there is no money in January and you have to raise whatever you need, which is always a worry, because then you look at it and you think, right, well, what are our sellable assets? And I don't think we've got loads. And like I think I saw so Matthew, who does some of the shows with us and stuff, he posted a comment on one of the video which I put out earlier, which is the reaction to the game. And he said, if we can keep Ruben Corwell fit this season and keep playing him as number 10, he's going to be massive for us, because you can see the confidence that he's getting from playing. And I said on Saturday, I thought his link-up play with El Ghazi was really promising. They had little 1-2s and triangles. And then again last night, I thought Colwell Tanner, Colwell Robinson, Colwell El Ghazi. Ruben kind of is knitting it all together real nicely. And it's unfortunate that Robinson had to go off, because I think he's our best striker. And I think when you've got El Ghazi, who I think is more of a kind of a floaty free roll sort of player than a winger, but that actually suits, because him and Ruben end up interchanging. But Bagan gets up as well. Bagan linked up well with El Ghazi, and we caused a lot of problems on both sides with the sort of the rotations of players. And it was it's just nice, mate, to see some patterns of play and some just like rotations of players and the ball moving a bit quicker. And we just actually in the opponent's half, because with the first 5-6 games, we just sat in and hoped not to lose. It was painful.
I think you're right about Colwell as the 10. I think, if he plays the 10, he is more effective there. He's not, you can't play him wide right. It just doesn't work. You've got to give him that 10 position, and he sort of floats, and his skill level is superb. And obviously that free kick he had was a very good free kick as well. So, we just need to see him get a couple of goals to get his confidence in front of goal, because I think when you look at managers like Craig Bellamy and Russell Martin of Southampton, who've made comments about Cole in the past, saying like, he's got work to do. And there's a reason these managers like Russell Martin, who really likes him, didn't put a bid in for him, is because they don't feel he's ready for that next level. And that next level is scoring goals. You know, if you're a Tomlin or something like that, and you're taking free kicks as a 10, you're scoring goals. And I think, you know, he's got to get that next step. He's improving all the time. And I think once he gets those goals, that's where his value is going to really go up. But he knows what he's got to work on. There's many times he's had the ball side near the goal and he skied it. You know, there's many games like that. So I think he knows what he's got to work on. So it'll be interesting to see how he keeps on improving.
Yeah, and you could see he's putting the work in just by his fitness levels, mate. Like the difference in him this year, I think, is quite noticeable. Like he easily has been doing 90 minutes, whereas last year 70, hour 70 minutes. I do think Bullet was quick to take him off, but he was blowing. And look, it's encouraging, mate. There's a lot of encouragement now. Like Alex Robertson is, I just think he's a real special player. And there's a reason, the Evertons and people were looking at him in the summer. And it's just a case of utilising him and getting the best out of him now. I still believe that for certain games will be better with Siopis alongside him. Unfortunately, I don't really want to start the rumour mill going, but like what I will say is I think with Bullock going, it looks, I think, as if Siopis might end up going. I just would hope that we could, I hope he'll be back in the team soon and putting a shift in until whenever he should leave, whether that's January or the summer or whenever. But it's certainly a concern that he hasn't been seen in the squad since, when you think he barely missed a game since he's come, and then all of a sudden he's been unavailable for 2. But hopefully that can be rectified, whether it's an injury or a disagreement or whatever it may be. I'm hoping that he'll be back, because I think certain games you need him, mate, alongside Robertson.
Yeah, I think the derby against Bristol City, so I think he'll be back in instead of Ralsey. I think, like you said, there won't be many changes, but I think that's the one I can see happening.
It's just whether he's fit, mate. I actually, and I'll go back to Ruben very quickly. Ruben's got a real good record against Bristol, so hopefully he can take a bit of confidence from his recent performances and get something, get a goal or assist or a winner or whatever it may be, because I do think Bristol they have to take it in some ways. Like, they're not, they're not like top championship side. They're not in the best of form. They're all, they've done all right. And I think we can take confidence from the last 2 performances. And I do think that there's, if you can pick up 3 points against Bristol away at Bristol on Sunday, that's massive. And that takes you into the international break. I would imagine, and I'm pretty certain that a new manager will be in sort of Tuesday or Wednesday of next week. So it's going to be interesting, mate, how things develop in the next 7 days or so, because I think we'll have a new manager in by the time the international break's over. And then
I think you're right. I think
just got to get behind him then. And
I was going to say, I was going to say Bristol City. I mean, they had 2 heavy defeats against Derby and Blackburn, 3-0, but they beat Oxford and they drew with the Jacks, obviously. So the last 2 games, but our record against the Wurzels is really good. Since 2003, we played 32 games, and we've only lost about 8 of those in that time. So, and Bristol City game is normally it's one of those where we either win it or lose it. It's never normally a draw, whereas against Millwall, most pundits would have said it would have been a draw because that's what normally happens. But they are there. They have got some good players. I mean, their one good player captain is Jason Knight, and obviously Scott Twine, who I mentioned, who's come from Burnley. We talked about pre-season about possible signing for Cardiff. He's gone there, and their goalkeeper O'Leary is really consistent as well. So it won't be easy, but I think their centre back Robert Dickey, who's one of their highest rated players, he's out injured for most of October, and McCrory to a lesser degree. So they're missing a couple of players. But yeah, after getting that win last night, we need to back that up. Get something at Bristol anyway.
Yeah, just need a big performance from the defence again, and I think sort of going back to the patterns and the rotations and the movements of the forward lines, the wingers, the 10, the striker. What I'm seeing has been encouraging. What might hinder us is if Robinson's injured and we have to revert back to like a target man, because then we tend to go very direct instead of getting those interchanging triangles and stuff like that, that'll be a bit of a hindrance, I think. But you've got to just go with the flow, mate. And we've got a good squad. I see some people saying we got like a League One squad and this and that. I don't agree with that at all. I think we've got a real good squad at the moment. And I do think we're one or two short. I think we could do with one genuine pacey player and one striker. But outside of that, I think we've got one of the sort of better squads in the kind of mid-table teams. It's just been a case of getting everyone fit at the end of the day. That Darwin fit partnership could be something we have 5-6 years,
Yeah, absolutely. So it's funny actually, because last night a couple of guys were saying to me, obviously they reminded me it was our worst start in our history. And then one of the guys said, "Oh, is that our worst team in our history?" And I said, "No." I said, because I obviously been going down in the 80s, and we had some shocking teams mid 80s, and then I said to him, the 95-96 season was Phil Neal and Kenny Ibbott was in charge, and we had some shocking players like Lee Badley, Jarman, and Steve Flack. That was the year we actually finished our lowest position in the Football League. We were 22nd in what is now League Two, believe it or not. So that was a shocking team we had. So yeah, that thing about because it was our worst start in our history, suddenly people are saying, "Oh, this is our worst team." That doesn't add up at all. There is a lot of quality there, and as you said, when you're missing two jigsaw pieces, that's basically probably what it is. A genuine number 9, someone else in the middle or something on wide, because like you said, with Fish, Darland, and to be fair, Guterres has got it in him. He's dangerous from corners, and he, as I said, he had a very consistent season last year and a blip at the beginning of this season. So there's 3 very good central defenders there. And like we said, we talked about young players like the Contes on loan and players like that. So, and Robertson and Robinson, Colwell, there's definitely 7 or 8, you could say they are really good players. But it's just trying to get the team. I think I think the guys mentioned it on your other podcast before. Riza said some really good points about leaders, and having a Sean Morrison type, who's. And I saw when Nenji scored, that kind of reaction. They really cared. It might have been a bit of frustration, but we need characters as well. We need leaders in that side.
Yeah, and I think Guterres really stepped up. And look, nobody's above criticism, and I think Guterres has rightly been scrutinised because he has been very poor. But what you can say is last night he showed character to be able to stand up like that and in that sort of criticism. It's not easy when everyone's low on confidence to put in an almost faultless performance like he did. Put his body on the line, interceptions, blocks. It's very difficult to do, mate. Right, just to kind of finish us off, mate, I would like to have it, because me and you haven't really had much of a discussion about the manager other than obviously on the phone in the other day. But I'd like to kind of dig deep into where you see it at the moment. There was a big rumor going around yesterday that Gary Beale is the man and is pretty much done. However, somebody who I trust told me that that's not necessarily the case. So it's sort of in the conversation, but it's not quite, it's not a done deal by any account. So I know, for instance, Ryan Giggs had 2 interviews. Stephen Schumacher had 2 interviews. Giggs is out with the running for depending on who you believe. We turned him down. He turned us down. Whatever. He's not having it. Schumacher apparently was impressive. So who would you like to see come in now? Would you go for like an Allardyce or someone of that ilk just till the summer, or would you try and get someone long term in now.
Yeah, I think it's all about time inside, because you know what it's like with if you actually, like we talked about Nathan Jones, and you mentioned in other podcasts, haven't you, that he fits the bill in terms of being a massive City fan. He's passionate. He gets the best out of players who maybe are not naturally well known. He's done it at Luton. Yeah, okay, he didn't do so well at one or two clubs, but generally speaking, at Charlton last year, he took them from 16th nearly to the playoffs. But you see, Charlton have lost their last two or three games. And already now, some of the Charlton fans, the whisperings are, he could be sacked. So if you've got a guy on a 4-year contract that's probably going to cost Tan 2 million, 2.5 million, probably more with his backroom team to get him from Charlton, is it a case of you wait 2 weeks, which I think is a massive risk? And the other one as well, which could be sacked, who's a massive Cardiff City fan, is Steve Cooper. Because Leicester haven't started well. Obviously, they were always expected to struggle, really. And Steve Cooper is probably 2 games away from the sack. I mean, it is. I mean, in the Premier League, it's kind of like that. So there's 2 names where, obviously for Cardiff City fans, they would be, yeah, they would be names, obviously, that, would be near the top of the list, I think, for most City fans. But I don't know, another one that's interesting, and I don't think he's actually managed in the Championship, but he was an ex-Cardiff City player, did a fantastic job at Wickham, is Gareth Ainsworth. Now, I know Gareth Ainsworth was, I think he was interviewed for the Hearts job, or one of the jobs up in Scotland at the moment going. And yeah, he's another one who obviously has done really well, really passionate guy, gets the best out of players. But for me personally, as I said, if it was me at the moment, are we looking just to survive, or are we going to send a message out to say we're going to write off this season? And I do believe, don't get me wrong, Sam Allardyce has got a huge amount of experience, but I look at that as to save the team this year, to build their confidence, to get a mid-table, because I just can't see us getting anywhere near the playoff sign, because we haven't got a striker. Robinson is a good player, but not, Kanga obviously is not working, and there are plenty of good players, but I just think if we get Sam Allardyce in with all his experience, that's great. But I would personally go, as I said, with a Nathan Jones, just to lift the club in terms of the supporters, and see where it goes. But as I said, at the moment, Charlton fans aren't impressed with him. Saying long ball tactics, not impressed. But who knows where that goes? It could be that he'd be out of work and Steve Cooper in the next week or two, and we could get one of those. But Steve Cooper would probably be out of our range in terms of amount of money he'd be asking.
Yeah, I think Steve Cooper, there's a couple of issues in terms of would he take it because of his ties to Swansea. An interesting name which someone told me yesterday, or mentioned to me yesterday, is Russell Martin's on the brink of getting sacked. Now,
yeah,
at first I was like, oh, Jesus Christ. But actually, when you just think about it, like, he likes to play football, the players really get behind him and play for him. He speaks well. And then you start thinking, well, actually, when you go back through history, players and managers who've been at the club and who have had those sort of Swansea links, they've done all right. There's been quite a few who've done, played for us or managed us, played for Swansea, managed them, and done all right. Because they understand the passion, they understand the fan base, they understand the rivalry, they understand what it means to be the manager of this football club. And I just, as an outside one, I don't expect him to get it. Obviously, he's at Southampton at the moment as it stands. But when someone mentioned that, and then I saw there was kind of a few people who said, oh yeah, I wouldn't mind him. But the general reaction was kind of like, oh, no. But I was like, I think that's not the word Yeah, I've heard.
Yeah, it's not bad. I think I was going to say, so with like I was saying about Steve Cooper, I think Russell Martin as well. I think they could well be sacked in the next week or two, but they'll be out of our price range. I think. I just can't see. You're talking £1 million a year, about £2 million a year salary. They'll have their.
Mate, like you just ask some players and the managers previously. We don't pay peanuts. I know. All right, we might not be at the very top end in terms of like Sam Allardyce, who got paid an absolute fortune to go to Everton. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But we're not paying like £100 a week. We pay decent wages. And if someone like Russell Martin, for instance, who's a massive fan of Ruben Colwell, and I'm sure is very aware of his brother. And this is the thing, right? For someone like Russell Martin, it's not just looking at this season. You look at what's coming through at Cardiff. They had another 17-year-old yesterday make his debut for the 21s, scored a goal, looked really good actually with them up front with Reindorf. You've got Reindorf and all these young players coming through. Whoever's in charge in sort of a year or two, they could get, you could be in charge of something quite special. So I don't think, well, should I say, generally speaking, Cardiff is a bit of a poison chalice because of a range of things, really. The owners and things like that. But generally, it's a bit of a madhouse. But actually, if you look at it from a kind of future point of view, I could see it being more attractive to someone now. Look at like we named earlier. You could have, when everyone's fit, you can have a spine of Alnwick, Fish and Darland, both 20, 21, 22. Robertson, Joel, say, all right, let's take out anyone over sort of 25. You could have Alnwick, Pacquiao or Conte, Fish, Darland, Giles or Pacquiao. In the midfield, you could have Joel Colwell and Robertson, Ruben Colwell, Ollie Tanner, Reindorf,
Ashford.
Do you know what I mean? Like, suddenly that's a team of under 25 players who are all quite, they got something about them. Like, they're not quite there yet, but.
And let's not forget Isaac Davis. Well, so he'll come back December too.
Even because Isaac's out for a while. So, yes, I think on paper, some managers will look at it and think, Jesus Christ, no thanks, because it's a bit of a madhouse. But actually, when you just have a little look beneath beneath that, I don't think it's, I think the right person could really do something with it, It's one of them things where it's interesting. Is whether we can find that right person. And I honestly, like, I'm not entirely sure what the right decision is now. But I think
it's what Tan said though. Sorry, I was going to say about what Tan said about he wasn't convinced about a director of football, and I know you mentioned it before about Mowbray, and Tony Mowbray's got a huge amount of experience. He would be an amazing director of football. I know he's done well, but that would be a dream to have Tony Mowbray as director of football, and then a young manager, promising manager, working with him, kind of thing, and you could sort of see then that there's some progress. But Tan's not convinced, is he?
Manager, mate. If he was not unwell, like, he would be my choice for manager now. But
yeah,
he's got some health issues and stuff. So yeah, give me what would your team be for the Bristol game on Saturday, mate?
Well, I could, as we've got the team against Millwall, there wouldn't be any changes really, other than I think CO would come in for Rolsey. I think I honestly, to be fair to the guys last night, they all put their hands up. Most of them were 7.5, 8 out of 10 performance-wise. When Alnwick was called on, made a couple of decent saves, and as I said, the whole team really who went out last night deserved their place. But I just think Rolsey, as I said, if CO's fit, that's the only change I would make, because I think all the other guys deserve a starting place, really. So
yeah, and I don't necessarily think that it's that Rolls doesn't deserve a starting place. Like, he played quite well against Millwall. I just think for that particular game, maybe you need something a bit different. That's all. You know, it's using the right tools for the right jobs. So sometimes you need a passer and a reader of the game. Other times you need energy and aggression and that bit of more of defensive outlook. But we've got a squad that's full of different players. So I think we need to utilize that a little bit more in terms of, you know, how we go about it, if you like. But
I think we've changed the team as well, Si, haven't we? We've changed the team every game. You know, we need to start seeing some sort of patterns. You know, I think for any professional, if you're swapping combinations all the time, and we know, as you said, that Darland is probably our best defender that we've got in the team, and there's no question he would come back. But to be fair to Gutas, as you said, Si, he had a really good game. And my question would be Chambers.
Yeah, I think he's been very poor in the last few games, mate. He started off really well for us when he came in, and I think he's been poor. And he's the one now, which I think he's probably under pressure. Luckily for him, he's going to have time to kind of sort it out because Fitch is obviously injured, Darland's injured, so we haven't really got anyone to come in unless they were going to go for Bagan at centre back and, you know, and go that way.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think Chambers has been, like, for instance, if Fish was fit yesterday, I did wonder whether Chambers might get shunted out to right back.
Yeah.
But obviously with Perry NG finding his feet, Chambers is now.
Did he get booked? Did he get booked last night? I think he got booked again last night. Side well, Chambers. I think there's an issue about pace with him. I think if he played right back, I do worry about that as well. I think again he's, you know, he to be honest, like I said, I was excited like you were when he signed. You know, a lot of experience, played at the highest level, still, you know, at the right age, kind of thing. Help the younger players, but I don't know. I haven't seen it enough from him for him to be a certainty for a starting place.
No, and I think, like I said, like, you know, when Darland and Fish are fit, I'd expect them both to start, to be honest, just because they're younger, more agile, better defenders. I think they're both better on the ball as well. But I think in Chambers' case, he's a little bit similar to Joe Rawls. He's a good reader of the game. And that is okay if you've got pace around you in defence. So if you do get caught out on the ball or out of position, that pace from your teammates saves you. But we haven't got a great deal of pace in the team, and we certainly haven't got a great deal of pace in defence. The one thing we do have is a keeper who's quick off his line, so I think that can help. But yeah, I thought Chambers was poor against Hull, and I didn't think. I thought he was better yesterday. But I think there's still definitely, but it could be a confidence thing as well, because I thought he was all right when he came in.
Yeah.
You know, when he came in, he sort of was oozing a bit of class and the rest of it. So you just wonder whether, you know, with everything that's gone on, it would be understandable if he's a bit jittery. And now if we can, do you know what, Mid? It'd be nice if we just keep a clean sheet against Bristol.
Yeah.
To like build a few clean sheets. That I think that's important now, because that'll give the defense, you know, more and more confidence, and then we can really settle into the season. There's so much time left, mate, in the season, so many games to play, that I genuinely, like, you know, I understand why people don't want to or aren't, you know, thinking about playoffs and stuff like that, but there's so much time left, mate. It's like,
well, you're right, Si, because a win against Bristol City, you know, and obviously going into the international break, and then you've got your Portsmouth and Plymouth, you know, coming up, and you know they're winnable games, and the confidence goes upside, doesn't it? So, you know, and then suddenly, you know, you're at the bottom three, and you know, a couple of wins in your mid-table.
Yeah, and in this, you know what it's like, mate. In this league, as soon as teams start building a bit of a run, and they start winning, you know, they're winning all their home games, and they're building a bit of a run, and suddenly you fly up the table. So.
Yeah,
you know, by no means is this season over with, and it's just going to be a relegation battle. But obviously, first and foremost, that's what you got to do, is get out of the bottom three and put that run together. And we've made those steps, mate, is what I would say. We've made.
Do you think we'll get something at Bristol side? Do you think we'll get something at Bristol side?
Yeah, I think we'll. I think we'll win. 1-0, 2-0, 2-1.
Yeah.
I'm pretty.
Yeah.
No, I wouldn't say I was, certain, but I am fairly confident, mate, that we'll get something, because I've rewatched the Hull and the Bristol game, and like I can see what we're trying to do now in a pressing sense, in a attacking sense, what we're trying to do with those patterns and triangles and things like that. Whereas with Bullet this year, I have not been able to work out what he's trying to do, other than just kind of try not to lose. And then, you make a couple of defensive errors and that's gone. So now I can see what we're trying to do, which gives me confidence, because I look at the squad and, El Ghazi, when El Ghazi's are fully fit, we're going to have him and Ruben Colwell next to each other, both flying. They'll be very hard to stop, mate. Very hard to stop.
Yeah.
They're the sort of players who are just difficult to mark, because they're not like your run-of-the-mill players. They got weird. Both of them are quite big. They're just difficult to pick up. They're difficult to knock off the ball. So it just becomes interesting then, because once just very quickly on Kanga, I know he's been poor, but he's scored goals elsewhere. So let's see how he does when we've actually got people giving him the ball, because we haven't had that yet. And I think that's important. Like, he has not had. Yes, he should have worked harder and put himself about a bit. 100%, I 100% agree with that. But generally speaking, I don't think he's had much to kind of to work with, So let's see now, when we're starting to play a bit more. Let's see what he's about. And if he's still poor, then it'll be Mate or Robinson or whoever. But Atete is going to be back soon. Maybe he'll suddenly become the footballer that everyone else seems to think he is. And obviously Isaac Davis, who you mentioned earlier, he'll be a massive lift for us. And you know what? The way we played last night and tried to play against Hull, I actually think with Isaac Davis through the middle, that works really well, because we're trying to play triangles and 1-2s and get him behind rather than just lump it up to a target man. That's why I thrive off, But he can play wide as well, obviously. But it'll be interesting, mate. Be interesting.
Yeah.
What's your prediction for Bristol?
Yeah, I'd be happy with the point side, to be honest with you. I think, I agree with you, keeping a clean sheet would be amazing, but I think scoring goals as well. So if it was 1-1 or 2-2, I'd be really pleased with that, because it just gives us some, to lose against the Wurzels on Sunday would put us back again, wouldn't it? And I think that's the key, is getting something from this game, just builds confidence again, and then you've got the international break and whoever the manager, I presume the manager will probably be appointed after the Bristol City game. I would imagine so, and then gives him that time, week or 2 weeks, isn't it, to work with the players before they come back.
Very quickly, mate, if it was Beale, would you be happy, disappointed? What's your opinion on that?
Yeah, I haven't heard this one. Is this Michael Beale? Used to manage Rangers.
I think I said Gary earlier. Michael.
Yeah. Michael Beale, my God, it'd be a disaster, I honestly, he was a disaster at Rangers. Some of his signings, I mean, if you look at the mess that Rangers have got in now, it's because they've signed a load of these players on 30 grand a week who just don't cut it at all. And, that is one of the reasons why Rangers are in a mess. Obviously, those signings that he had, so that if you ask a lot of fans from Rangers, they would tell you that Michael Beale would be a disaster. And I hope that message goes through to the club, because if we've got experts obviously helping Tan, I can't see that happening myself. But yeah, that would be a shock for me.
Well, mate, I'll tell you something off air now about that, because I can't say it on air. But yeah, right. My cat's been a pain in the bum.
I was going to say, yeah.
What are you doing, man?
Maybe that's a good omen for Sunday.
Like invade. Yeah, lucky black cat. Guys, thank you very much for joining us. Thank you very much to Pan, of course. And I'll be back tomorrow night for the preview for the Bristol game. The boys will be back Saturday night for the Flower Hour. I'll be back on Sunday for the breakdown, which will be a match reaction show as well. Also, next week, we have a brand new podcast and collaboration starting. It's a Welsh football podcast to be named, but it is with Harry Trades. Or he's got 2 channels, Harry on Wales, which I'm really looking forward to collaborating with Harry Trades. Check out his YouTube channel, which will obviously link and stuff next week. But look out for that on Cardiff City World. And of course, me and Pan will be discussing the Welsh football side of things next week as well. So lots and lots of stuff to come. Please spread the word. Just hit 600 subscribers. Only been going 6 months. So we are ticking along nicely. The only place in the world where you will get Cardiff City content 7 days a week. Thank you very much, mate.
Cheers. So
In a bit.